Yeah, so when I was at the age of 20, I had something in my brain they found was called a cavernous malformation, and they decided, to let it linger, and then I had to come back, and they had to operate on August 15th, 2014. I returned to school a week later, you know, instead of listening to the doctors and things like that, being 20, thinking you're invincible. Uh, then I had a stroke a month later after returning to school. So then I had the rehab stint, and then I went to the next year, had another surgery because the mass grew back in October of 2015. Then I recovered and went back to school, had an opioid addiction. I went through bouts of depression, anxiety, suicidal ideations, and then I had a final brain surgery on October 12th, 2017. And that was the last one, but wasn't the last hurdle. Went through another. At the end of it, I had to deal with a medical debt of $1.2 million.
Erica Lynn Speaks podcast is a place where you can grow beyond your limitations and make an impact on the world. I am Erica Lynn. I will teach you how to take the restraints off of you, begin to live free, and become unstoppable. Go to ericalynnspeaks.com.
I say Erica Lynn Speaks. Erica Lynn Speaks.
Hello. This is Erica Lynn, and welcome back to Erica Lynn Speaks. This is another wonderful podcast. You know, each day our mind puts us in a mindset. Sometimes it tells us that we can't move forward, even though we can. Sometimes it tells us that we are held back because of something that has held us back. But we all know that if you're ready to fight the good fight and overcome all those obstacles and the hurdles that's in your way, you can accomplish and achieve any and everything that you want to achieve. My next guest knows all too well about overcoming his obstacles and how he fought that fight and overcame them and began to moving forward and growing expeditiously into where he is right now. So join me, the serial overcomer, Kawan Glover. Kawan, thank you and welcome to Erica Lynn Speaks podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Erica. It's an honor and a pleasure to be before you and your audience, and I hope they can gain some value from what I have to say.
Absolutely. You know, I brought you on the show because you had such a tremendous story. You just really touched and impressed me. I was like, wow, I got to talk to this young man. But I want the audience to know why you touched and just been on such a long journey. Can you share with them a little bit about your story?
Yeah, so when I was at the age of 20, I had something in my brain they found was called a cavernous malformation. It's a group of blood vessels that sit on my brainstem, a benign tumor. And they decided, to let it linger, and then I had to come back, and they had to operate on August 15th, 2014. I returned to school a week later, instead of listening to the doctors and things like that, being 20, thinking you're invincible. Then I had a stroke during school. So then I had the rehab stint, and then I went to the next year, had another surgery because the mass grew back in October of 2015. Then I recovered and went back to school, had an opioid addiction. I went through bouts of depression, anxiety, suicidal ideations. And then I had a final brain surgery on October 12th, 2017. And that was the last one, but wasn't the last hurdle. Went through another. At the end of it, I had to deal with a medical debt of $1.2 million. And I got through all of that, and I'm here today before you all to just share a little bit of not only my story, but a bit about the insight I gained from all those different occurrences. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I know that's right? Can't nobody change that. That was the path that you had to go on to get to where you at. So tell me, as you were going through all of these brain surgeries and the things that at the time they were very traumatic for you, I'm sure. What type of mindset were you in? Like, how were you able to get through this? Who was your support system that walked with you as you went through this?
Well, Erica, I'll say that a lot of people will ask me that same question, and they think the surgeries were the most difficult part. When in fact, in actuality, I just laid there doing the surgery, and the doctors did what they had to do. It really was depending on my family, my friends, my loved ones, the people around me in my community, especially for those first two surgeries. But then the last one, there were actually people I didn't know that got involved, and people outside of my community that got involved and donated money and raised awareness. So it was definitely a team, a large group effort to get through a number of these things. But I always say that you don't go through something just to go through it. So it is not a one-man game, but I got through them with developing a mindset that even though things seem hard and difficult, there is always a silver lining. There is always a light in the tunnel. And I constantly had to battle with the mindset of, oh, woe is me. Why this happened to me? I'm never going to get through this. This is my life. This is who I am. I understand this happened to me, but it did not make me. It's part of my journey, but it's not going to be who I become. So when I really grasped the concept that I could use this to tell my story and empower others, that's what really got me through all of those events and even some that happened afterwards to get me to the man I am right here before you.
So Kawan, you had a stroke. So when exactly did you have the stroke? Like while you were going through the process of the stroke, like because you had more than one surgery, obviously. But at what point did you have a stroke?
So I had my first brain surgery actually before the stroke. I had the first brain surgery because they found the mass and decided to operate. And then because I rushed back to school a week after surgery and started up taking time to rest and recover and, being 20, you're just like, I got to get back to my life. I got to go back to school. I got to live, in the moment. And I wasn't taking heed to what the doctors were telling me not to consume alcohol. And in that, within a month, so September 17th to 18th, that's when I had the stroke. So I had the surgery, first surgery, August 15th, 2014, and the stroke September 18th, 2014.
So you had the surgery in August and the stroke in September. And so you were an example of our true young people who didn't listen to the doctors, is what you're saying, and you got back out there. And so that's why it is important to heal. Like, I can't stress this point any more clear than what you have stressed today on this podcast. When I talk to people about inner healing and focusing, they think, well, I got a successful job. I'm in a great marriage, but you never healed and fixed the things that happened before you got to this point. And so when you don't fix or heal those things, they cause you to relapse, right? So just in your case, because you didn't listen to the doctors, which you were supposed to rest from about 3 to 4 weeks in recovery, because brain surgery is major, Kawan. I'm sure you know that now. And so that resulted in you having a stroke. So tell me, what was the stream of events that you experienced that caused you to then begin having depression and anxiety?
Because, Erica, I had been an athlete my whole life. I had played football, I'd run track, I'd box. When I had the stroke, being that I was right side dominant, having that side essentially taken away from me, it just wasn't boding well with who I thought I was supposed to be. So my reality was clashing with my expectation. And when a warm front and a cold front come together, they create a tornado. So it was warping my perception. And that mindset, caused me to, like you said, when you don't recover, those traumas, those pain points, they linger on into your next situation when you don't address them. So they were lagging effects of that depression, that onset after that. And when I continue not to deal with those issues, when I continue to run away from them, when I continue to try to separate myself from my reality using opioids and alcohol and marijuana, those things kind of clouded my judgment. And then when I had that last surgery, it was just like, hey, the physical toll it took on my body, along with the mental and emotional strain, led me to some really dark places, some really dark moments. And it just wasn't a battle I was born prepared for, but it's the battle I had to fight anyway. And I'm thankful to be alive and grateful to be able to share my story to inspire others to fight your battles. There are going to be times in your life, they say you're either heading into something or just coming out of something. And, it felt like that was my whole life at one point. But now I see, looking back and gaining perspective from those events, I'm a much better person for it. And it's the biggest gift I've ever received in my life.
Yeah, yeah. And so when you went through your depression and your low points, what was some of the things that you did to help you come out of your depression, or to bring you up out of those low points so that you could begin to heal? Like, what were some of the healing things that you did to help you move forward?
Well, for me, I definitely think movement, physiology controls psychology as someone. So, getting up and moving, telling myself, hey, I have to do something. Hey, you have to get up and move. Also, getting around people, and even though if you don't want to, a lot of times when you're feeling depressed or downtrodden, you want to be isolated and away from everyone. So I had to force myself to get around people and force myself to interact, because when you're isolated, your thoughts consume you and they will bring you back down to the dark places. So getting out, moving, getting around people, and then, leaning on my outside resources, therapy, people that were maybe strangers that didn't really know who I was, but they can give me a more objective perspective. I think those are some of the things, and even the things I do now, rooting myself in the present moment, thinking about things I can see, hear, smell, feel, or touch, highlighting my five senses, meditating, practicing gratitude. Those are the things that keep me in the present, because when you dig too far into the past, you fall into depression. And when you lean too far into the future, you're dealing with anxiety. So I constantly am in a state where I'm rooting myself in the moment to just look forward to the next step, not the next jump.
That's right. That's right. You're doing right. And so you talked about the opioids and your addiction to marijuana. How did you overcome that addiction to opioids and marijuana? Like, is this something? Because see, I can look at it from two perspectives. The opioids, yes, you have to overcome that. That's not something that you can stay on long term. But I can see like marijuana being medical marijuana being something that you can use to help heal some of the pain. So how did you overcome opioids, and are you still using marijuana? And if not, how did you overcome not using marijuana anymore?
With the opioids, alcohol, marijuana, those things it didn't ever become a physical dependence. It was more of a mental and emotional way as to separate myself from facing the reality. So with the opioids, it was just one day it had an epiphany. I don't know where it came from. And I was just like, this is no longer serving me. This is not gonna, if I had a realization that if I don't overcome this, this is going to be the end of my life. This is going to control me for the rest of the time I'm here. So one day I just got up and flushed everything, like cold turkey, and I haven't looked back since. As far as the marijuana, when I started realizing what it was doing to me, and what it really meant to me, just that separation, and I knew I had to face my issues instead of running away from them, because they're going to show up some kind of way in the way you are at some point. If you don't address them, they're not going to just go away. I decided I had to take all my tasks, my hardship, and face them head on, and those things just don't fit into my equation anymore to live my best life. So it was all kind of in one fell swoop. Like, I realized that they were no longer serving me in a positive manner, so I got rid of them.
Absolutely. Good for you. Good for you. I often tell the story. I used to smoke cigarettes for a long time. I started smoking cigarettes when I was 13 years old. And so, on and off throughout the years. Of course, when you're giving birth to a child, then I didn't smoke. And about 8 years ago now, I had took my youngest son to the pediatrician, and he was diagnosed with asthma. And so my mom say, Erica, do you smoke around these kids? I say, no, I smoke up in my room or in my car. And, you know, if they're not home, of course. So no, I'm never smoking around the kids. And my mom said to me, well, Erica, do you know that if they smell it in your clothes or if it's in your car or somewhere in the house, you can cause him to have a asthmatic reaction and end up in the hospital? I said, no, I didn't know that, because I thought that because I was separating it, you know, in my room with the door closed, I'm up on the top floor, or in my car, you know, I'm always, you know, as parents, we try to hide from our kids. Well, when she told me that, I just remember the next day I woke up and I went and I started throwing all the cigarettes away around the house. I had like packs, some Lucy's somewhere, just got rid of them. And I never went back to smoking again. And so, although it may be challenging to just quit something all at once, you see the positive result of being able to take a stance and say, hey, I'm taking my life back. Hey, I'm taking control of something that controlled me, but I'm taking me back. I love me more, and I'm taking a stance. And so I say kudos to you for taking that stance and taking your life back and taking control of your life.
Yeah,
So,
a lot of people say it's amazing or they don't understand it, but it does give you power back when you're able to just kick that stuff.
absolutely. Excuse me. And so, all of this journey that you have been on, it put you in some debt, and you spoke about the debt. So, how much debt did you get in? How exactly did you get out of the debt? Or is there still some of that debt lingering on now?
No, no more debt. It was $1.2 billion in medical debt, and when I calculated the figure, I remember sitting in the guest room, and I was sitting there. I was on the computer looking at it, and I was figuring up the numbers, and I did the little Excel formula, and I was like, "There's no way. This number can't be right. Let me redo this calculation." And I kept doing it, and it kept coming up. So I was just like, "How am I supposed? I can't even work right now. There's no way I can start chipping away at this. Like, what am I supposed to do?" And if you're familiar with Les Brown, he talks about Mr. Butterball and how he went to Mr. Butterball. He's a radio head or something, and he was like, "Hey, Les Brown, I want to become a radio disc jockey." Mr. Butterball, like, "Do you have jobs available?" And he's like, "Do you have any experience?" "No." "Well, do you have this? He's like, "No." "Well, we don't have any jobs available." And he kept going back, and he kept going back, and he kept going back. So that was the same method of operations I chose to take with an insurance company. I'm pretty sure those people know my name. I'm pretty sure I'm known around there on a first name basis. Because every day I was calling, like, "Hey, you know, what's going on?" And they were like, "You just called yesterday. There's nothing that's changed. You just called yesterday. You just called. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to call tomorrow too." And then I kept, you know, essentially harassing them. And then it was serendipitous because the three doctors that I had consulted with all met up at a medical conference. And because of that, insurance handled most of the bill. And then me and my grandma were able to chip away at the rest of the medical debt. So I was able to use the GoFundMe money that I raised for other medical expenses like medical equipment, therapy, outpatient therapy, and things like that. But it was a time where I was just like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't have, but my grandma said, you can't get blood out of turnip, so they can charge you all they want. You got the money for it, so they're going to have to take this. And yeah, but we got past that, and you know, slowly but surely, the insurance started to take care of it.
Wow, that's an amazing story, you know. And actually, I'm a medical biller by trade. I went to school for medical biller. So that's why I'm laughing. I'm a medical biller and coder. And I know all too well what you had to do in order to get your bill paid, because that's what I did for a lot of the patients. They like, hey, you know, I got this bill, but I came in there with insurance. Why do I have this bill? And then the insurance they resort in, they only want to pay so much. But a lot of people don't know some of the things that you can do to get your insurance to cover it. Even if you call them and say, hey, can you give me a payment arrangement, or can I file low income paperwork? What is it that I can do? And if you get on their nerves enough, they're going to give you some type of out, because there's always an out, especially if you can't afford it, but you know you don't want to have this debt over your head. So kudos to you. Look, see, I didn't even have to school you. That's fantastic. I think that you have such a remarkable story. And the one thing that I want to know, and I'm sure everybody else want to know now, how old are you now? And what are you doing now? Like, how is your lifestyle now?
When this all started, I was 20. I'm 26 now. I started a business. I wrote a book. I do speaking. I'm just a better, well-rounded person. I'm very in tune with my faith. I'm in tune with my body. I'm in tune with my uh, physical and emotional and mental health. I started the business because there were thousands of people that paid it forward for me to help save my life. So I want to, give it back to them in this way. And I feel like Overcome Adversity LLC is a coaching company where I do victory coaching, where I combine a therapeutic communicative approach with a goal-oriented approach of traditional coaching. And I call it victory coaching because it is my job, my mission, my purpose on this planet to bridge the gap between the darkness and the light at the end of the tunnel, to make you turn from victimhood to victor, so you be the ultimate version of yourself and a hero in your own story. I wrote the book Favor: How Stroke, Struggle, and Surgery Helped Me Find My Life's Purpose. It's available on Amazon now. And I wrote this book to just catalog my story so people can see what the darkness looks like, what things they should avoid, like running back to school a week after surgery and things of that nature, so they can see the pitfalls that I made. So you are then able to not make those pitfalls and make better decisions for yourself, and understand also that life happens. The darkest night always comes for the brightest morning, and your morning is coming. So just understand that my life now is in a better place because those things happened to me, because I had the lessons to learn from the mistakes. And now I live in a constant state of joy, peace, calm, serenity, and my basis for everything is gratitude. My superpower is vulnerability. My weapon of choice is empathy, and my story is my fuel source. And I wouldn't have it any other way. So right now, I'm pretty darn good.
Yeah. Yes, you are. You are pretty darn good. I like them quotes you dropped in there. So those are going to be in the show notes. I like it when people drop quotes. I really appreciate you and thank you for coming on Erica Lynn Speak podcast. It has been such a joy and a pleasure because this is going to be a story that everyone can relate to, everyone can understand. And then I always say, like, if you could go through this and come out of it and come out on top, then everybody that is going through something, just think there is always a positive side. There's a positive end to the rainbow. You just got to be strong, hold on tight as you go through your trials and your tribulation. So Kawan, tell everybody how that they can reach you or purchase your books, or where do they find you at?
Yeah, I'm on every social media platform you can probably think of. Kawan Glover, KAWANGLOVER, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, you name it, I'm there. LinkedIn. If you want to talk about coaching, I'm going to send Erica a Calendly link so you can schedule a consultation. You can get my book on Amazon. Again, I'll send that link to Erica. It's available in ebook and paperback format. Also, you can just contact me directly. My number is 240-723-2134. Again, that number is 240-723-2134. I'm ready and available for a conversation, connection. You need some help, you want some guidance, you want to purchase a book, or you just need somebody to listen. I'm open and available. And again, thank you, Erica, so much for inviting me on, giving me a platform to discuss my journey, my truth, my story, my mission, my passion. And I'll just say to you all before I leave, become the hero in your own story, be the ultimate version of yourself, and your purpose will reveal itself.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's very well said. Become the hero in your own story. See, you dictate your outcome. Nobody else can dictate your outcome for you. See, you can either lay down and let life take over, or you can take over your life. It is totally up to you. But whatever you decide, we are here to walk with you. We are here to walk along with you, encourage you, inspire you, motivate you, help you figure out what the issue is that you need walking into. what, walking away from, and how you're going, what you're going to walk into. Your best days are here to come. And if you guys want to hear how to overcome some of those areas in your life, how to overcome some of those limitations, how to overcome some of those weaknesses, you guys can go to ericalynnspeaks.com and get your free ebook. I'm giving you guys a free ebook. This is my gift to you so that you can learn how to overcome your weaknesses and play big and bold in your life. It is so important to just be unstoppable and just live the life that you have always wanted to live. Design your own life, or someone else will design it for you. I am Erica Lynn from Erica Lynn Speaks. And just remember, it only takes just one step beyond you. God bless you. I'll see you guys next time. This podcast was brought to you by ericalynnspeaks.com. Sign up for your free consultation today at ericalynnspeaks.com/work with me. And just remember, it only takes just one step beyond you.
Beyond you. I say